Welcome to the final Pittsburgh Steelers mock before the NFL draft. So, in this draft, I'll give you my selections for what I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers should do at each of the selections. I'll also give you some alternates, just in case if the players are gone by each selection. So, let's get right into it. At round 1, pick number 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers select quarterback Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. So, I've convinced myself to pick a quarterback at pick number 21, and it will be Shedeur Sanders. I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are interested in quarterback and defensive line at this position, at this pick. But if Shedeur Sanders is there at 21, he is the selection. There should be no other option. When you have a chance to get your future franchise quarterback, you get him. And that's what Shedeur Sanders is at this pick. So, the alternates, however, if Shedeur Sanders is gone by this selection, I believe, are defensive linemen Derek Harmon, and if he's gone, Kenneth Grant. But my first option is Shedeur Sanders. So, I'll get more into this breakdown of this pick later on in the video, but that's the first round selection at pick number 21. Now, moving over to the Pittsburgh Steelers round 3 selection, because they don't have a draft pick in the second round, because they traded away for DK Metcalf. So, round 3, pick number 83, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Darius Alexander, defensive lineman of Toledo. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers are very interested in defense lineman, quarterback, and those are the top 2 positions I believe that they're mainly focused on. However, if they don't go defensive line at this position, I believe running back DJ Giddens will be the selection. However, I believe that DJ Giddens will be there in round 4 for their next selection, so I have them taking Alexander. And I believe this would be a better option because this running back class is very deep, and even if DJ Giddens is taken, there's some other players out there that can fit the bill. So, if Alexander is gone, however, DJ Giddens would be my selection. However, he's not taken in my mock draft, and Alexander is the selection at the defense line position because I believe he fits exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking at the defense line position because he can play defense tackle, he can play end, and he has some high-end capabilities to be a superstar at the next level in the NFL. So, Alexander is the selection. The Pittsburgh Steelers take him. Now, moving over to their 4th round selection. The Pittsburgh Steelers select at pick number 123. And like I said, DJ Giddens is the selection here in round 4. And I believe he will be available. However, if he's not available, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers take another defensive line, and that defensive lineman is Jamari Caldwell from Oregon. However, DJ Giddens, I believe, is the best selection available here. The Steelers have been mainly focused on running backs in the mid-round levels of the draft based off their pre-draft visits, their pro day workouts, who they've been looking at, who they've been bringing in, and DJ Giddens is the best out of the bunch, I believe. He's a big body running back, but he has the quickness. He has the hands. He has everything you want to be at the NFL level in terms of a running back. So, you look at his film, I'll get more into it as the video goes along, but he is a player who isn't just getting all of his yards based off wide open runs that the offense line are creating. He's getting it from deserving it, from earning it himself, and that's what you want to see on film. So, he is a selection for the Pittsburgh Steelers in round 4, and that is the end of my mock draft. That is my Pittsburgh Steelers 4-round mock draft. I could go into all the other rounds and take guesses on what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do, who's going to be available, but the honest truth is, I don't know every single player in this NFL draft, and if I do that, I'll just be lying to you. And also, I'm just going to be guessing based off who I think is going to fall, and really, you just don't know who the selection will be as the rounds go along. Easier part is obviously guessing the first few selections because that's who the Pittsburgh Steelers are bringing in for pre-draft visits, and you kind of know who's in the fall to certain rounds. And earlier parts of the draft. So that's the end of the draft. Now let me just review it in total. You look at the first round selection at pick number 21 in Shedeur Sanders, and I believe you get your future franchise quarterback when you have the opportunity. And he's a quarterback who has athleticism, but he also has the arm talent to make all the necessary throws. His completion percentage is very high, and you want a quarterback who isn't going to get flustered, isn't going to get off rhythm, and you want a quarterback who could deliver the ball to your top targets in DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and every other target. And that's what you have in Shedeur Sanders. Someone who's going to do that. Also someone who, if stuff gets rough, does have the capability of scrambling, making the throws on the run, but also getting out the pocket and running and using his speed, because he does have it. So that's what he does. He isn't planning on using his speed, but he does have it if the Steelers want to utilize it. So he has all the capabilities as a franchise quarterback. The only concern maybe that he has is that people have been talking about, he's had it all since a young age, because he is Deion Sanders' kid. And if he's not the top tier guy yet at this age, people are concerned that maybe he's never going to get there. But me personally, I believe that you can still develop, especially in the NFL, with NFL level scouts and trainers. I believe he still can reach the next level, even though he's had basically all the training that he's needed up until this point because of Deion Sanders. That's people's concerns with him, but I don't believe that's a concern. And I believe he's good enough right now and one of the best in this year's draft class. So he's the pick of 21, and that's the reason. He is the franchise quarterback. And there's no point of going defense line when that franchise quarterback is on the board. That just wouldn't make sense. What's the point of going defense when you know your offense can't do anything and you know that you don't have a quarterback? So you may as well go quarterback and take a chance. And this chance is a good one. So moving over to the next selection in Alexander. Alexander is a player at defense line that I believe can have a peak that's really good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They bring him in on a pre-draft visit, so that's always a good sign. And you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers' previous draft picks last year in terms of who they brought in, and most of them came from their pre-draft visits. So Darius Alexander is a player who has that box already checked off and is a player who can help the team in terms of depth right now behind Cam Hayward and also Keanu Benton, and be a rotational piece right away out of the draft. So you look at Darius Alexander, and he has the potential to alter game plans at the next level. He's an elite run defender who's just scraping the surface as a pass rusher. He stands at 6'3", 305 pounds, and his strength is elite two-gapper, immovable versus double teams. He's someone who's not going to get pushed around, and his potential as a pass rusher is high on film. He just hasn't shown all the capabilities yet. He's also a high-level athlete. So you look at his film analysis out of Toledo, and he enters the 2025 draft as one of a premier mid-major interior defender inside defensive linemen in this draft class. This 6-year senior saved his best for last, totaling 40 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks during his final season with the Rockets. So some of the things that concern you is he's took basically all 6 years to end up being in the NFL draft. So that's his only concern, that maybe he doesn't have the high-end development process as some of the other younger players. But obviously, I believe this selection is a good one. So first and foremost, Alexander's run defense. He stands at a long 6'3", 6'4", and with the mass to complement it, he's ideal early down, 3-down technique, kind of anchor that defensive line group. And that's someone who the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking at. Someone who can stop the run. Their stopping the run ability these past few years haven't been good late towards the end of the season. So getting Alexander who can do that can really help this team. Obviously, Larry Ogunjobi is gone now. He left in free agency. And Alexander can take his place and step up. So that's why I believe he's a selection. Because he could be that run defender. but also can rush the passer as well. Now, moving over to why I picked DJ Giddens in round 4 in this year's mock draft. Well, I've selected him in every single mock draft I've done so far for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've done 3 drafts. This is my 3rd one, and DJ Giddens has been a staple in it because I believe he's the best running back you can possibly get in the mid-round levels, and he's going under the radar. Other people are being looked at above him, but I believe in terms of the mid-round running backs, he's the best. Because other people in film, when you look at their kind of highlights, their film, their just offensive line is creating all the space for them. And it's just wide open runs after wide open runs. You don't see the running back skills on display in terms of the shiftiness, the speed, the big body running over people, everything like that. But in DJ Giddens' film, you see all that. His offense line didn't create much for him, and he still put up over 1,200 yards, 500 plus receiving yards, many touchdowns. And when your offense line isn't creating that space and you're still putting up those stats, that's really good. So DJ Giddens is a player on film where you see him creating all of his openings with his speed, dodging defenders, shiftiness, juking them out at the last second, but also running over them and getting those touchdowns. So he was able to do all that on film, and that's why I believe he's the best out of the bunch, because he's able to do it himself, and that's what you need at the running back spot. You have Jaylen Warren, who creates something out of nothing, and now you get DJ Giddens as well to join that running back group who can also do the same. So I believe he's a selection because of that reason. He could do it all. And he's not just the shifty running back. He's not just the big body running back. He's a person who could be both at the same time. So him and Jaylen Warren are a great duo. So that's the reasoning for each of the selections that I have for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's also other reasonings for picking a defense line in the first round, because you really need defensive line. But Cameron Hayward's still here for the next 2 years at least because of his contract. They still have Keanu Benton. Yes, you need depth, but those guys that they pick in the first round isn't going to be the starter. So why are you going to pick someone who could be a backup in the first round instead of picking a future franchise quarterback? So there's reasonings for picking other positions that other people want instead. You could go wide receiver, get another slot receiver, but you already have DK Metcalf, you have George Pickens, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson. So why would he do that? So this is what I did in this mock draft. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about my mock draft and who you would select maybe instead of these players at these positions, and maybe your mock draft in the comments below, and I'll let you know my thoughts on it. Drop it down. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, reports, everything covering the Pittsburgh Steelers NFL draft. I will do it. Every new selection that we bring in, highlights, analysis, and also introductions will be on the channel for them. And also every new player we add in free agency is already on the channel. And every new one will continue being on the channel, so go ahead and check it out. So stay tuned for everything Pittsburgh Steelers updates, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.